Hello everyone, we are now live. Welcome to our meetup. This is our first meetup organized as part of the SafeJourney project for the Vox Pop Fund, for the Vox Pop project. So today's meetup is about how can artificial intelligence improve accessibility. In the context of our project, SafeJourney, we will be discussing how we are creating a street accessibility index for people with motor deficiencies. Today, we will have two major topics in the agenda. First, we will cover the user perspective of technology associated to disabilities. And for this, we will have Ricardo Teixeira representing Associação Salvador. Ricardo will present the work of Associação Salvador, which is an association promoting the equality of people that have motor deficiencies. Then we will have a short debate on how technology and artificial intelligence may be a tool for the creation of products that promote accessibility and access to information. After this, we will cover the technology perspective and we will present SafeJourney, covering the tool's functionalities, how it was created, and potential usages in other industries such as real estate and the hospitality industry. First, we will begin with a short video showcasing how Associação Salvador works, and then I will give the stage to Ricardo.
Portuguese people usually don't respect parking places and traffic rules. 6 out of 10 people admit that they have parked on a sidewalk. This causes problems for people with disabilities, of which there are around 900,000 in Portugal. And this is the Portuguese way of parking. In a busy street of Lisbon, we made a small guerrilla campaign. We found a car parked incorrectly, left a paper with a message, "Sorry, I bumped into your car," and a phone number to arrange a meeting. The twist happened when the person who allegedly bumped into the car appeared in a wheelchair.
Peço desculpa, não volta a acontecer.
Infelizmente esses 5 minutos acontecem muitas vezes.
People gave many excuses and they were obviously ashamed. We filmed everything and shared this across social media. With this zero-budget campaign, we reached more than 7.5 million views, more than 10,000 shares and countless earned media. It was by far the best video of this category ever made in Portugal, with more than 498% views and 1,674% of earned media compared to the second best in the category. This local video travelled around the whole world and, more importantly, spread an important message. No more excuses. Respect.
So now I give the stage to Ricardo, an ambassador for Associação Salvador and the developer of Mais Acesso app, to talk a bit about the work of this association.
Hello, everyone. My name is Ricardo, and I'm a member and ambassador of Salvador Association. This video shows very well the Portuguese way that people parking the cars. But this is the mentality of the people that we have in Portugal, to parking the cars everywhere, but not just the park is the part of our difficult in the streets and the access to buildings and the services, restaurants and things like that. These things is the streets and the sidewalks and have stairs and a lot of difficulties that we have. More the mentality of the people that park in the Portuguese way, as you saw in this video. Associação Salvador Association is funded by Salvador Mendes de Almeida. Salvador Mendes de Almeida, is a founder of association. He had a motorcycle accident with 16 years old. And was 20 years ago that he opened this association. This association have the mission have 20 years and have 2 points of the mission. One is the inclusion of people with physical disabilities in the society, and another one is promote the quality of life of people with disabilities like me, in special people that needs a wheelchair. We have 3 different areas of intervention. One is knowledge, another one is integration, another one is awareness. And in knowledge, we have thematic meetings where we discussed a lot of information very important for people with disabilities and families and technicians, and in special people that get the disability in short time. And these people, like me, 29 years ago, we really need a lot of information, and people that share with us the difficulties and the ways that we go forward with our difficulties. Another one is training, consulting, and inspiring experiences. In integration areas, we promote the quality of life grant, where the association have a lot of projects to contribute and support people with a lot of products like wheelchairs, power chairs, and sport products for people can play sports, and employment projects for people have more knowledge and skills to go in the job market. Another one is integration, that we promote inclusive events, because, as you know, it's very difficult to people like me and find events and the experience that is that these events or experience are inclusive. This is very, very rare. For example, this last weekend I was in Isla Mágica in Sevilla. All them is possible. People go in the experience, but we in Portugal, we don't have nothing like that. Nothing is inclusive, and Salvador Association promote and make a lot of events, inclusive events. Another one is adapted sports, where we have 9 different type of sports inclusive. Another one is psychosocial support for people and families. Another one is in awareness. We promote a lot of paddy papers and a lot of discussions in the schools to prepare the young people for the future, for people have more conscience and have more abilities to make one Portugal more inclusive. Another one is events to road safety events to promote the people can drive with more conscience. But in accessibilities for us is the most important area that we have in the association, because without accessibilities we can't go anywhere, and we can't have active life, because if the sidewalks is not prepared, if the services have steps, if the roads is not be able to go in with a power share or manual share, wheel share, is very complicated for us. And this is the cause more that without this accessibility is impossible. We go out of house and have one good integration of life. And today we are talking about one amazing project that with new AI intelligence can support us to show with the best areas and the best trajectories that we can go with our shares, and without a lot of work to go all of streets, and because it's a very hard work with intelligence, artificial intelligence. NILG.AI make amazing project that with resource with Google Maps and other online platforms, they can't tracking all difficulties that we have in the streets and sidewalks. About more Salvador Association, since in the last 20 years, we changed the life of more than 4,000 people. We had more 10 projects. We support. We have more than 1,000 volunteers. We contribute and promote support for almost 2 million euros to support access to the homes and training and employee and sports. But about the accessibilities that we talk, and this project is the mission of this project, is that how is important for us this type of technology. For example, in this picture, we can see one restaurant that have a small ramp to this person to go in, but without before or sensibility to this restaurant have one step, and one step for us is completely impossible for us go in, and this is the reality of in Portugal is very common. For example, this guy needs to wait 2 years to become go to the university, because the university not was accessible. And for these reasons, we 6 years ago we launched one application that this application was possible to see the places that was accessible or not accessible, because this is a platform that open to all the people can identify places that accessible or not accessible, and this and share this information in this application. And with this information, we will have more people to planning his life. And another function very important that this application had was complying the places that not was accessible and not respect the Portuguese rules at the moment and the laws. And this application sent immediately one complaint for the authorities, for the city wall of the region, and for the INR, the Portuguese Institute for Rehabilitation, and with this information, for we make more sensibilization of the government. And with this application, we have the record of the complaints in Portugal. This is the access for the metro station, for example. This is very, very common. The metro station is not prepared for us, and the government services. To support our mission, this is if you want to help our association, we have different options to help this our association. One is assign the ERS. That is possible. I will show in the next slide. It's free and can help us with 0.5 of the personal ERS in the free way. Another one is another one is contact the association and become a friend of association and give small donations, regular small donations. If you want to make a donation of the Associação Salvador Association, can be of course. And we have more different ways to support the Salvador Association. This is the most simple and free way to support the Salvador Association. Is just to put in your ERS this VAT number, and the government, the Portuguese government, give 0.5 of our own ERS for the Association Salvador. And if you want to follow us in our social channels, please. We are happy if you follow us. And thank you. Sorry, my English, but sometimes I don't speak English very frequently, but I hope that you understand.
So thank you, Ricardo. Yeah, we understood perfectly. Thank you so much for the presentation. It was very clear. And I'm happy that more people are knowing about the work that the association is doing. Okay, so now we will start a debate session where you will be able to ask questions in the chat, in the YouTube chat, for Ricardo to answer about the impact of technology in the daily lives of people in wheelchairs. So people are typically a bit shy in these questions, so I will start by kicking off with some responses. The first thing I wanted to ask you is, how has your life changed in the last 10 years in terms of technology. So how has technology progressed and made your life easier?
Yeah, at the moment we have just two tools to support our difficult and we can plan our life more easily. One is the platform, the app that we develop to Salvador Association, the Mais Acesso application, where we can see the shares that more people done in this application. Another one is the Google Maps. With Google Maps, we can see if the difficulties that we have in our for example, before I go out from my home, need to see if I go to a new place, I need to go to the Google Maps to see the area where this place is. If it's simple to parking, if the sidewalks are prepared or not prepared, but is, for example, I'm from Lisbon, and Lisbon maybe just the percent of Lisbon is prepared. I'm maybe less than 10%, and I need to prepare to the where I go, and if this where I go is prepared or not. And sometimes I need to go with my wife because it's impossible I go in the one governmental service or something like that. Or sometimes for meetings I need to change the local of the meetings because it's not prepared.
Yeah. Okay. We have our first question from the audience. So, are policy makers, decision makers like the government, giving the right amount of attention to these issues, or do you still feel like your voice is not being heard?
No, not at all, because we have done a lot of work in this area, but unfortunately, for example, with this app that with this app, all the complaints we make we print all these complaints was more than almost 1,000, and we go to the Portuguese assembly. I don't know.
Not the city hall, but the assembly.
Yeah, where and we give these complaints to the Prime Minister, and he was very surprised and never give more feedback about that. And the city hall, the presidents, they are more with more sensibilization, but as you know, they change every 4 years, and every 4 years when they start to do something is very low speed, because all the city halls have a lot of problems. When they start, they change with another president, and this is very hard work. But we need to do, and we can't stop this work.
Yeah, it's easier to build new things, to add new rules, but it seems like they don't think about these issues in more detail.
Yeah, and this type of applications that you are doing, it's a very good tool to help us to planning our lives, because we need to see if I go somewhere, how I can go to the other place, or how I can reach in this place. If this place is have steps or not, or stairs or not in the entrance.
Yeah. Yeah, but so there's a follow-up question by Tiago here. So even though we might have technology that perfectly identifies where there is a step, where there is a ramp, it's still gonna take you 3 times the time to reach, because you need to take a larger walk, a larger route to go there. So we need to somehow convince the assembly or the parliament on the details of, like, on the places they need to do these changes. Do you know how the general people can help solve this problem or raise the attention to these issues?
Yeah, we, as you saw in our presentation, we try to do this. And one part of our strategy is to give this sensibility and give this to young people, because they are the future. Because the mature people sometimes don't give the really attention for this type of problems. And we have cities, very old cities with a lot of problems, and people need to. We need to. One part is, okay. We talk with all city hall presidents to give and make this type of sensibilization, and sometimes we say, okay, the accessibility is not just not for people like me, but when we born, we need to go everywhere with the share, the baby share, and but this baby share, sometimes we have two parents, and parents can help because we are very little and very low weight. But if the life continues, when we getting old, we need the accessibilities too, because people don't have the lengths with perfect health, and this is for all the people, not just for me, that I need my power share, but it's in the future is for all the people, for people that getting babies and for people getting old. This is for all, and anyone can have a temporary accident or a vitally accident like me. But before I get this accident, I get another accident with my skating, and sometimes I need to one share well shared during 1 week, for example. This is very important for all the society and all the people.
Yeah, thanks for raising these points. So there's another question from Francisca that is asking, when you search for a place on Google Maps, what are the red flags you look for? So what are the obstacles that you try to identify? And how do you overcome these obstacles? Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, one is the floor, the type of floor of the streets and the sidewalks. Like, you know, we have a traditional for the calçada, the Portuguese sidewalks have the stones very hard for all the people. Some people say, oh, this is very beautiful, but it's not appropriate for people. And for the new generation of people, not just for me with the wheelchair, but for example, the old people break a lot of legs and arms in this type of floor. The type of floor is one situation that we need to make a lot of attention. Another one is if the street, the parking, the Portuguese people park the cars inside of a sidewalk. Another one is if I need to go to the other side of the street, if the sidewalks are prepared or not, because for us in my wheelchair reach more than 300 kilos. For us is impossible one stair more than 5 centimeters. For me, 10 centimeters is the same for than 10 meters for you. 10 centimeters, I can go anywhere. You with 10 meters, one wall with 10 meters, you can't go anywhere. And this is the same for me. More than 5 centimeters for me, it's very, very hard, and I can't go there. But one good challenge for all the people that are hearing us is when go to, after this session, when go to the streets, see how many difficulties we have with more than 5 centimeters of the stairs. It's very, very common. This is another situation that we need. Another situation is after this challenge, we need to see all the service or restaurants or places that don't have steps or stairs in the entrance. And sometimes it's very, very common. You can see the electrical posts. In the middle of the sidewalk, or one nupi,
urban furniture is the general term.
A lot of urban furniture, and a new urban trash. Like, for example, the
scooters,
the scooters, and this type of things in special places like Lisbon are a lot. Sometimes we can't go forward in one sidewalks because we have bikes, scooters, a lot of this mess in sidewalks. This is another challenge.
Yeah, that one is hard. You can only solve with legislation, because people park their scooters anywhere.
Yeah.
Okay. Another follow-up question from Francisca. So, how frequently do these obstacles make you give up from going to new places, for a restaurant, a cinema, park, etc.?
I don't understand well the question.
So if you see, so how frequently do you want to go to a place, but then you see it's not accessible and you just go somewhere else?
A lot. This not happen a lot because we need to do our homework, and we need to go to the Google Maps and see if these places are accessible or not. Or sometimes we need to call, and people say, "Oh yes, of course it is accessible." When we reach there, the entrance have 40 centimeters of the step, and this is very frequently because people think, okay, it's very simple. We help to push the wheelchair. My wheelchair is impossible because my wheelchair have 300 kilos.
Yeah. Okay. As a follow-up to that, I have my own question. I know that recently Google Maps created a new accessibility icon on the restaurants. Have you used it somewhere? I talked yesterday with people from City Able, Diogo Martins, and he said, Diogo Martins and I forgot the name. Sergio. Yeah, Diogo Martins and Sergio. And they said it was not very accurate, and they didn't know very well how it was determined.
Yeah, this I know the way this work, because in the past I have a restaurant in my companies, and this is the owner of the restaurant put if the restaurant is accessible or not. Not is the Google, not is the community that make this, is the owner. And sometimes the owner always seems better. My restaurant is have accessibility, or people in very I don't know, the modest way say, okay, we if someone needs help, we push them to go in. This is not accessibility. Sometimes when people say, oh, it's not problem, I can help me and three or four men, we can help you. And I say, when you go to the restaurant, you need that someone put your body in their arms and go into the restaurant. This is not the way, not appropriate way, of course.
Yeah, and I understand. Even for you, it might feel a bit humiliating because you are being treated differently, because the restaurant didn't think about creating a ramp or some other accessible entry or an elevator.
I don't go. I don't go anywhere that is not appropriate. I don't accept this type of help, because the Portuguese rules and Portuguese laws say that the places need to be accessible. But the problem is not the laws. The laws exist. The problem is that anyone make multa, como é que se diz?
So they pay the bill, not the bill.
No, is another.
I'm missing the word as well.
Another word that.
Fine. It's a fine.
Yeah, a fine to people that don't have these rules or these laws. Anyone do anything. I have done more than 100 complaints to the Lisbon City Hall, and anyone received the fine because not was accessible by the law. Anyone, fortunately, anyone received the policy or something.
Okay. There's another question from Tiago. Besides Associação Salvador, does Portugal have more organizations working on this topic of accessibility? I remember one company, Places for All, was trying to create an accessibility certification for public places.
Yeah, this if the problem in Portugal that is all people work alone, and all people want to be the master of the day. People don't organize. People don't enjoy. Have more power. And for example, Places for All, I never heard about this. For example. If people organize, okay, just one application or one way to this was more powerful. And just for you understand the Portuguese way, unfortunately, we had this application, Mais Acesso for All, and it's a platform that I planning and I develop in my company and make a donation for Salvador Association, but government with the PRR are doing one application with the same functionalities, with the same name.
Really?
You think, yeah,
Yeah.
the creativity is amazing. They copy all and never talk with the Salvador Association about this, and join all energy just for one. All people make all different things in the people don't talk with each other.
Yeah, I see that happening a lot in technology. People just rebuild something without seeing what was done before, because it's easier to do something new and take credit than to work together with someone that has done something in the past. Yeah. Unfortunately. Okay, I have one final question before we move on to the presentation of SafeJourney. So you told me you drive a car. What kind of adaptations did you need to do to your car? I was very curious about that, and I didn't ask you yet.
I can drive a common car if I have two adaptations. One is in my left hand, the accelerator and the brakes. Another one is I can't move my fingers, but I have a good arm, and I have another adaptation that I put in my heart, and I can move my arm. And I have a competition car with a lot of horsepowers, one TT car, one Polaris, all with all adaptations. And I have three different cars. With one is a common car that I just need this, but I need help to go in. Human help to go in the inside of the car is not practical. Is not practical, and I need all the time help to go in and go out. I have my van. It's one van that I have one elevator that support my wheelchair with 300 kilos, and I go in my van. I don't have any seat in the pilot area. It's my chair that go in, and I have a dock station there that I stop my chair there and fix my chair there. And after I have a lot of the adaptations for my accelerator and the brakes, and for the gear to have the same adaptation. In my sport car or racing car, I have one elevator that I don't go with my chair. I have one GRU, I don't know the name, that is another type of elevator. Have one arm that I push me to inside of this car, and I go drive in this type of car.
Well, very interesting.
Yeah, yesterday I have done 1,000 kilometers, for example.
That's a lot. Okay, we will need to move to the presentation of the project. There's one more question from Tiago. Maybe we'll have time to go back to it in the end. But we can start by sharing. Pedro, can you share the slides for? Okay. Yeah, so now we will present the project we have been developing, the SafeJourney project. So first, a short introduction about our company. NILG.AI is a data science consultancy company in Porto, Portugal. We are a small team, and we were founded in 2018. We help small to large companies make more informed decisions about data intelligence, and our motto is that we help the companies create an ever-improving version of the business that is constantly adapting to new realities. We work in several areas of artificial intelligence, classical machine learning, computer vision, text processing, recommendation systems, optimization, and forecasting. And we have a team with very diverse backgrounds, ranging from bioengineering to electronics, and an internal network of experts that help us focus on specific topics like cloud computing. So there's a couple of ways to work with us. We have more details on our website. I'm not going to go into too much detail about this, but just to cover the topics, we have the possibility to show you the way we develop projects, which is what we call knowledge sharing. We can provide you with consultancy services where we advise you on how to develop your projects, or we can do the actual execution of the AI projects. Okay, in terms of related projects that we have worked in the past about the more or less related with social good or with accessibility, we have helped create an accessible keyboard for ALS patients. They also have a lot of muscular difficulties. They are in a wheelchair, and it's a very progressive disease that over time leads to them not being able to move most of the muscles. So we did the optimization of a keyboard layout for Anthony Carvajal. If you search on YouTube, you will find a lot of videos about Anthony. In this project, we were focused on minimizing the distance that Anthony needed to take in order to write the most common words. And for this, we used open data. We used real text messages in order to identify what were the keys, what were the letters that needed to be closer for Anthony to take less time to write a message, because he writes with his eyes, looking at the camera and holding off for a few seconds in order to focus on the key. The data for this is publicly available in case you want to have a go at the challenge as well. Besides this, we also worked on city development indicators with the calculation of rents, average prices, proximity to points of interest, so we can create a customized community score. And we adapted this community score for the SafeJourney project you will see shortly. Also, more focused on the public data part of it, we also worked on traffic forecasting in the city of Porto, Portugal. Okay, about these actual projects. The SafeJourney was developed as part of the open call Vox Pop Lisbon. Vox Pop is a project with the aim to create mobility solutions that meets the needs of those in Lisbon, and it has 6 major core areas. The first one is route planning. The second is autonomous navigation. Third is inclusive ticket services. And then we also have safer journeys, wholesome livability of public services, and finally, community solutions for more inclusive mobility. In the open call for Vox Pop, you can see what each of these categories tries to solve in more detail, but we had the challenge to try to solve 2 of them, which is the route planning and the improvement of autonomous navigation. The first thing we wanted to do was to identify the need. So we went ahead and did a few user surveys. Ricardo was one of the users we interviewed, and Diogo Martins from CTAble as well. And with this, we figured out that wheelchair users need to do a careful planning of the path they need to take ahead of time, and even the wheelchair that they use. So Ricardo mentioned a mechanical or an electrical wheelchair. So these are the major things that people in wheelchairs face in the streets. Some of these Ricardo already mentioned, which is high slope, the obstacles in the sidewalk, the crosswalks with no ramp or with steps, narrow sidewalks, the lack of cycle lanes, and this is surprising, but a lot of people in wheelchairs actually use the cycle lanes as an alternative to the sidewalks, mostly when it's an electrical wheelchair, because they can go faster. And finally, the irregular sidewalks. And we found out that the information about these factors is not updated, it is not easily accessible, and it is not granular enough. So, So we thought about how we could do a more objective estimation of these factors, and we tried to prove something, that most of the decision processes that affect the lives of people in wheelchairs could be made more objective if they had more information. So if they had an accessibility score. And by creating an accessibility score, you don't only inform the people of how accessible a place is, but you are promoting that in 10 years the city will be better than it is, because we can only improve what we can quantify. And for example, this accessibility score can help with route planning for users to determine potential alternative routes or to speed up the planning of a route. It can help with city urban planning, where the stakeholders will decide where to allocate budget to do certain changes, to promote a more accessible sidewalk, to fix some crosswalks, etc. It will also help determine if a location of a restaurant, of a movie theater, etc. is accessible. And finally, it can help find an area to live in. And then, as part of the SafeJourney project, we are calculating an accessibility score for wheelchair users using open data, which is street images from Google and geographical data from OpenStreetMaps. And this will include some of the factors we described before, which is the flatness of the area, the presence of cars or scooters in the sidewalk, the presence of crosswalks that have ramp and in intersections, the missing or very narrow sidewalks at the point where wheelchairs can't go through, the lack of cycle lanes, and finally, the irregular sidewalks. And SafeJourney is able to provide this score for an individual point or for an aggregate region. And speaking a little bit about the details of SafeJourney, our objective is to make a process that works at world level. Right now, we are trying to validate that the idea works with the focus on Lisbon, because that's what the project focused on in the start. And that's where we have the most knowledge, where we can talk to experts and to associations in the region. And as such, we prioritized data sources that are readily available for most of the world. For example, we are using OpenStreetMaps to extract the street network, to extract the crosswalk location, and to get the intersections. We are using satellite image to get the elevation data to understand the slope and the flatness of a region. We are using Google Maps to get street view images and also potentially the satellite images where you see the streets from the top. And then we can improve the quality of the data sources using some regional open data. For example, there's an open data portal called Lisboa Aberta, where we extracted the location of the cycle lanes in Lisbon. So let's try to discover how we can help a wheelchair user find the best path to reach a location. Let's imagine you are in a wheelchair and you try to travel through the streets to reach a certain location. SafeJourney can help you determine the crosswalk accessibility, and we help find the best crosswalk which you can use to reach the other side of the street. We do this by determining the probability of an intersection having an accessible crosswalk, which is a ramp. For this, we use computer vision algorithms on street view data and try to extract this information based on that. And we use the location of intersection from OpenStreetMaps. For example, here's the location from Travessa Sérgio Abílio in Lisbon that we have determined that is very bad for people in wheelchairs. If you see in the crosswalk, there is no ramp. So if Ricardo went here in the power wheelchair, he wouldn't be able to go through here. He would need to go through the street in order to reach the other location. And SafeJourney is giving an accessibility score of 17 from 0 to 100. So we are able to determine the most severe regions. Then SafeJourney can help you find which locations are missing a sidewalk or which locations have a sidewalk that is not wide enough for wheelchairs to pass through. And for this, we also use computer vision algorithms on street view data. This is another location where if wheelchair users went through, they would have a lot of difficulties. You see that the sidewalk is not accessible. It is very small, and there's no sidewalk in one of the sides of the road. So I don't know, they would need to pick a different route and maybe take 10 minutes more to reach the final location. Also, we have calculated a factor of flatness. And for this, SafeJourney creates a flatness score to regions that is based on the variance of elevation in a neighborhood area. We use satellite data from NASA to use this. And in this picture, you have a grid of the city of Lisbon where we are showcasing our accessibility score. The greener it is, the more accessible it is, and the redder it is, the less accessible it is. And if you know the city, you can already see some hotspots. For example, the area close to Monsanto Forest Park and the airport have a higher elevation variation, so they are more difficult for people to travel. And there are some flatter areas near the ocean, for example, Cais de Sodré and Parque das Nações. These are areas where there wouldn't be as much variation if people needed to travel somewhere. Also, as we have mentioned before, people in wheelchairs use cycle lanes to avoid the bad quality of some sidewalks. So one of the factors that we provide in SafeJourney is the closeness to cycle lanes. And on the left side, we have the same type of heat map where the green areas are closer to cycle lanes. And on the right side, you have the actual cycle lanes that are shown here. There's an area where we didn't cover, which is Monsanto Forest Park. We only covered the areas where people can typically go to without a car necessarily, which is these parts that have the services and the buildings. So you can see that there are some green hotspots here in the city center where there are more cycle lanes available for people in wheelchair to travel through. The other factor that we tried was the presence of the path to travel is very often affected by scooters and cars on top of sidewalks. So what SafeJourney does is try to estimate the probability of temporary obstacles. We thought about several ways of doing this. For example, trying to look at parking tickets. So we would use the probability of parking ticket, but we weren't able to get that data. So we actually found something very interesting when looking at Google Street View images, and this is a Portuguese way of parking, as Ricardo said. Every few meters, we found a location that had a car parked on the sidewalk. So we thought we would just assume that if there was a car there when Google car was traveling through the location and saw someone parked there, it's very likely to happen again. So there's a high probability that people in wheelchairs will have difficulties when going to that area. And this is areas that tend to have little parking. This is an example here where we gave a temporary obstacle score of 7, which is very low. And you see that there is a van on top of the sidewalk here. So finally, we aim to create an aggregated score based on all these factors. So SafeJourney is able to provide an accessibility score from 0 to 100 for each location. It is an aggregation of all these factors. And we consider a point to be as inaccessible as the worst of the conditions that can happen. For example, if the crosswalk is accessible, but the sidewalk is terrible, we use the worst score, so the sidewalk score, because if there is an obstacle, it means they won't be able to go through there anyway. So it's a bad region, according to our knowledge. And we can recalculate these scores for neighborhoods or for individual points. And this will then allow us to create an accessibility map for the city, where we see, for example, that the historical areas like Graça near the castle of Lisbon are more inaccessible. They are typically associated with places that are in hills, and so places that can't really be changed easily. And then there are some more accessible areas that are more modern, like Sete Rios and Saldanha. We have a demo application that will showcase how this accessibility score can be used for a routing use case. And this is available on our product website, where you can go through at NILG.AI/SafeJourney. So we will showcase a video of this application soon, but just to show you the functionalities of this, SafeJourney allows you to show an accessibility score for multiple points of the city. You can easily click the street view location of a region to account for any misclassification or any uncertainty in the generated score. You can provide the feedback, like a thumbs up or a thumbs down, about the classification of a location, and we will have access to this so we can further improve it. You can also send us an email saying that a certain region is not well classified, and we will be able then to look into that in more detail, because the way we built this, it's something that is ever improving. So over time, we can correct the classification of the places and get better outcomes for people in wheelchairs. And finally, you are able to plan a route between 2 points, and SafeJourney provides alternative routes and the accessibility score of each route and each segment of the route, so each individual street. So you can go to the video now.
So I wanted to present to you SafeJourney. SafeJourney starts as a map where you can see multiple clusters of points, and as you zoom in and out, you see the points in more or less detail. If you click a specific point, it shows the detailed information of the accessibility scores for each of the factors, and then you have the possibility to agree or disagree with the classification, and this will be sent to us for information about whether or not the points are well classified. The color of the points is related with the final accessibility score of the point. The greener it is, the better. For example, if we look at this point here, we see that it has low accessible sidewalk and the low score of without potentially temporary obstacles. So we can click View Region, and this will go to Google Street View for the users to do the validation. And you can see that, in fact, it has very narrow sidewalks, and there's potential to have stuff on top of the sidewalks, like cars or scooters, because it's an area with very little parking. So users can go here to do the final validation of the SafeJourney score, and this will allow them to be more secure when planning their travel. Going back to the user interface, besides these features, SafeJourney also allows you to plan a route. For example, if I want to go from this direction to a neighborhood direction, you see here that it's providing it's providing a list of routes, each with different accessibility scores, and it is ranking the routes by decreasing accessibility score. If we pick a larger route, for example, there are a couple of alternatives it provides you. And you see that it is coloring those different segments of the route according to the accessibility score. We can iteratively change between the differently presented routes, and it shows the highlighted regions in the map. And this will allow also to see the directions that need to be taken within these routes. It doesn't support doing it live. It supports offline planning of the routes that need to be taken. So in the future, we plan also of allowing the possibility between manual and electrical wheelchair. Right now, it's giving the same outcome. But the plan is that since there are different, the severity of the obstacles changes depending on the wheelchair type. The users should also have the possibility to plan if they are going to use a mechanical or an electrical wheelchair, and then be able to have less surprises when doing their routes.
Okay, so this is the application that we have so far. We welcome your feedback. And besides this application, we will also be releasing an application programming interface, an API, that will have the ability to return the accessibility score per point. And our idea is to motivate people to start using accessibility scores in their products. For example, if you work in real estate and you want to provide this score for your property's neighborhood, you will be able to use our API to have this score integrated in your website. If you work in tourism and want to provide your customers with the most accessible hotspots, you will also be able to use this API. So there's limitless applications, and we welcome partners to build extensions of these applications with us as well. You can stay up to date on the news related to this on our newsletter, which you can subscribe on our website and in the description box of the YouTube. So about SafeJourney, we have currently identified some limitations and some ways to improve the product. And we are currently interviewing people in wheelchairs in order to prioritize these features in future iterations. And these are the obstacle laterality, since we don't distinguish when the obstacle in the route, when the user can go in the right side of the road or in the left side of the road. We are doing an aggregation of the severity score in multiple angles. So maybe the sidewalk is only inaccessible in one side. We are saying that the area is as inaccessible as the worst side. We also have reduced spatial coverage, as we are only focusing on the city of Lisbon so far. We also have the plan to increase the spatial resolution, and the spatial resolution is dependent on the number of points we extract from Google Street View. So in theory, we could do this every few meters in order to have a very detailed score, but it would increase the image extraction costs and the processing time. We also have the plan to increase the number of detected obstacles. For example, users gave us feedback that they would like to have information about public events or construction work that can sometimes prevent them from passing somewhere. And finally, we have the plan to potentially add transport links so that users can use the same application that will give them the bus route or the metro route. And the final stage is taken by walking. So people in wheelchairs won't travel through very long distances only by wheelchair. They will do part of it by public transport or by car, and the other part in the wheelchair. So the application should take this into consideration. And finally, we also have the goal to improve the obstacle prediction performance because there are still some false positives of badly detected sidewalks and temporary obstacles. For example, cars and scooters are sometimes detected when they are parked and not when they are exactly on top of the sidewalk. So we would like your help to improve this. We are looking for potential partners to move forward with this project. At the end of the project, the code will be open. This will be fully open source by the end of this month. And to build some features, we will require some other partners' help. And finally, we will have a follow-up event to this, where we will focus on the technical details on how we built this score, how we trained the computer vision models, on the 28th of June at 6:30 in Porto on UPTEC Esprela 1. You can register for this event in the Linktree URL and click the AI in Urban Mobility Meetup. If you would like to further discuss this topic, there is a Calendly link here that you can use to book a meeting with me. I'm available to discuss this topic with you or to hear about your ideas and possible improvements on this. So finally, a final slide about our company. we try to share knowledge in multiple locations. You can get to know on our vision of artificial intelligence in our YouTube channel, where this video is being shared. So please subscribe to our channel there. And you can download a free ebook we have with our way of developing projects in AI, which is called Data Ignite, our methodology of design thinking for artificial intelligence. And we have a blog, which is also free to read, where we publish multiple things about artificial intelligence. So thank you for joining us today. We will now have a few minutes for questions. Ricardo, you can also ask questions about the project if you have. So there is a small delay between the comment box and between YouTube, so we might need to wait a bit for questions. In the meanwhile, there was a question from initially that we can finish answering, Ricardo, which was about the support from government. So Tiago said, I'm imagining all the costs that you may have. Accessibility does not seem to be cheap for the ones who need it. What kind of support do disabled people get from the state or government? We can't. Yeah.
Fortunately, we have some support from governmental institutions. For example, all the people that work or have in work learning in universities or learning skills to find jobs. The EFP support all the costs. For example, my well share was the EFP that pay. My van was EFP that pay this because they have one quantity of the money that support people to for people have the same opportunities that people don't have any disability, and they pay the way to move to the work, and they support, for example, one elevator for the company put in the work for people have all the conditions. Sometimes the problem is not the money that they have. Sometimes that people in this type of institutions don't want to have this work, and sometimes make a lot of stones in the
obstacles
obstacles in the middle of the process, just to don't have this type of work.
All the
but
bureaucratic
have this. The SNS, the social
National,
security in Portugal have, but the delay is a long time, 2-3 years, something like that.
Okay.
Sometimes is, for example, the people, just for you imagine, if you get now one situation like mine, and you need a lot of support from the government, you need one credential that say that you have this problem. But this credential, the delay is more than 1 year that government have to give this credential. During this year, you can't do nothing. you don't have any disability, because you need to wait more than 1 year to give this certification, and this is very annoying.
Yeah, all of us who are Portuguese know about the bureaucratic things that you need to do to get somewhere.
Yeah.
Okay. We have a question here from Francisca. Is this solution for Lisbon or Portugal? If so, how easy it is to use the open source code on other cities? So the way right now it works only for Lisbon when you calculate the accessibility scores. The way we're trying to build this is that it's generalizable for any country. In the middle of the project, we actually validated this solution in Porto. So we extracted a few images from Porto and also tried calculating the score there. So it is adaptable. It is a matter of us identifying user interest in this location so we can get detailed feedback about the functionalities of the platform. And I have a question for Ricardo as well. So in the past we discussed this application when we showed it to you, and you mentioned that there was a lot of potential for people in wheelchairs to use this. So from our previous discussions with people in wheelchair, people want to use a single application for everything. For example, they don't want to plan part of the route in Google Maps and another part in our application. What do you think it would take for people to start using this application and for this to start being actually useful? What features?
Yeah, at the moment, I think that is, I really need to maybe talk with you and have time to analyze all the functionalities, and in special the way that I need, in special to be user friendly. Yes. and have a good design to people. For example, like me, I don't move my hands, and we need to make and touch in the phone with the different situation like you, and this is the design needs to be adaptive, for example. But I think that one very important feature is to open to Portugal, of course, because open to share this application with more associations like Salvador Association, for anyone can use, and give the feedback of the experience, and but at the moment, in all that we are talking seems very well, but I need to experiment in my phone or in my computer to see a really
I can tell you it's not very mobile friendly yet. We focus more on the desktop planning part.
Yeah.
But if you are saying it's important for you to also have it accessible in the phones, that is also a tip for us to know what to prioritize next.
Yeah, because as you can understand, for example, the majority of the people use computer is more at the moment is more to work, but in the majority of the people, when they need to play, people use the mobile phone. And the user experience and the design experience is very important to detach areas need to be. But I can give you some feedback about this, and because it's very important.
If someone that is listening is a mobile expert, you can also work with us to do the adaptation of this. Right now, the code is done in JavaScript only for front end and optimized for computers. But if we want to do something like Google Maps, definitely we need something that is adaptive for mobile. Like you said, people will have different levels of inaccessibility that are not yet being considered in such an application. It's a proof of concept stage, more like, where we try to gather the attention of people that will then help us improve this. But yeah, you said you don't move your hands, but a lot of people won't even move their arms. So we need to consider different adaptations of these applications for these users.
Yeah.
Okay. So far, there are no more questions from the audience. Let's just wait a few seconds to see if someone wants to ask anything else about the solution. Otherwise, we can also finish because we're almost at the time. We plan to finish at 7:30. Okay, I guess we can finish. I'm checking the YouTube live directly, and there doesn't seem to be any more questions for now. If you have any questions that were not answered here, our contacts will be in the YouTube description. So feel free to contact us or to ask questions in the YouTube video itself, and we will answer as soon as we can. I would like to thank Ricardo and the Associação Salvador for being present here in a sunny afternoon. I know you would prefer to be somewhere else, but thank you for taking the time to be here to discuss this topic with us. It is very important that we try to build applications like this.
Yeah, definitely. This type of applications and people enjoying with you in this type of application is very important for a lot of people. And I believe that in all the world need this type of application.
Yeah.
Or in special in countries like Portugal that not be very prepared.
Very accessible.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for you thinking this type of application and you develop this amazing work to help us.
Thank you, everyone. Thanks for joining the stream.
Thank you.